Hello, World of Warcraft fans, and welcome back to another episode of Casual Encounters, my World of Warcraft show. This is episode 4.4. So we got a little bit of news. The news was I think as soon as 6.0 hits. I was hoping it was going to be sooner when I first heard this, but I think it turns out as soon as 6.0 hits, in other words, that big sort of patch that they do right before the actual expansion comes out, when they change all the mechanics and all that stuff. They're probably going to do the item squish. They're probably going to do all this stuff when 6.0 comes out. I heard that they were going to be bringing in the new raid system for 6.0, and that will include Siege of Orgrimmar. Now, what that's going to mean is it's going to mean that Flex will become normal will become heroic, and heroics, or what we now know as heroics, will now become mythic, which will mean the 20-man mythical raid. I think this is really, really good. It's going to give, all those hardcore raiders a chance to, maybe work out their comps and, try to run a mythical raid with their new, try to get that 20-man group down, and maybe, all that great stuff, and see how it works. Plus, Blizzard could work out any bugs that might have happened, all that stuff. It's also going to give, I'm not sure if I'm kind of hoping we'll have taken care of it by then. But as you know, I'm a very, 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 my guild is a very casual guild, and in the past, we've always managed to, since Wrath of the Lich King, we've managed to kill the big boss on normal before the end of the expansion. And in case, if it happens that, for some reason we're unable to do that before 6.0 hits, we'll have a really, really good chance to do it, because normal will now be what is now Flex. So it should make it that much easier if our guild, can get our normal, achievements and stuff. That would be pretty cool. I'm not sure if that's exactly how it's going to work. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea how it's going to work exactly. I don't know what limitations are going to be on achievements and stuff. But that's the big news, I guess, for this week, that's coming out. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think obviously all the hardcore raiders will have been long finished killing Garrosh on their 10s and 25-man heroics. So I don't think it's going to have a big impact at all on any of those people. And anybody who hasn't made it yet, by the time that comes around, like I said, hopefully it'll just give us that opportunity to complete things on normal a lot easier. And not to mention, it's going to be easier to pug, because if the system works the way it is, we're still going to be able to have that personal loot system, which is great when you're pugging. And if we need to pug people in for whatever reason, if we're missing a tank or a healer, just whatever, we can bring in that 11th person for DPS if healing is going great and we just need that little extra push on DPS. It's going to be good. So I'm really happy about that. I'm not sure if I'm not sure how it's going to work with like the item levels and stuff. Like, is it going to have the flex? It's going to be interesting to see if the flex is going to be like, since flex itself, like what we call flex right now, is going to be technically gone, just going to be called normal. I'm kind of curious how the item levels are going to work. Are they just going to switch the item levels, so now normal is going to have the item level of flex, and flex will and heroic will have the whatever? I don't know how they're going to do it. It should be interesting to see. And it'd also be interesting to see if how the what do you call it, the bind on account weapons or whatever, if that's going to have any impact at all, again with the item levels. And I think you can wait. Can you get it? I think you can get an account bound with flex, right? Yeah, I think you can. So it's not going to really affect it that much. You'll still be able to get it. I just don't know what the item level is going to be. So who knows? One of the things, a little sort of nothing, not really newsworthy or anything. I guess it was just something. As you know, I like to talk about things that will help improve the game and make it a better experience for the majority of people. and all that stuff. So I got to thinking about attunements, and you're probably thinking, wow, you're a casual player and you're thinking about attunements? That seems kind of weird. But the thing, I think the attunements were kind of fun to an extent. The problem that attunements had in the past was that it required you needed other people to help you get attuned. So that's where the big problem with attunements was, right? So if, let's say, you're a raid leader or you're a guild master, and your team needs a new person, and you find a person who is a great player, and you want them on your team, but they gotta level, well, maybe not level, but gear up their character, right? And you got to get all these attunements, but the problem is that everyone's got to help them. Everyone's got to go back. So if you recall back, I think it was for... I remember there was some crazy attunements. Like, you all know what the attunements were like. You had to get in groups. I think way back for Molten Core and stuff, you had to do the whole Black Rock attunement and stuff. And I remember in Burning Crusade, I remember having to go into a whole bunch of different... dungeons and get these items and stuff, and so you really need you had to have your friends, so all your guildies and stuff would have to come and help bring you up, and that could be fun, if you've really got a good solid thing. But the problem is, like I said, you're actually, if you got a new person coming in, then everybody's got to kind of go back and help them, and that's really annoying. So what I was thinking was, especially with what they have now, I've seen all these solo scenarios and the proving grounds and all that stuff. I think things like that would be some really, really cool attunements. That way, because, okay, so as right now it's sort of on the raid leader, the guild masters, whatever, to say, hey, dude, you're not performing very well, and being in the kind of guild I am, we really don't like to put that kind of, I don't want to be the bad guy. The raid leader doesn't want to be the bad guy, depending on who it is. I'm usually the raid leader now at this point, but we don't really want to say to people, hey, we don't want you here, so we try to go and carry them and whatever. But if it would be really cool if there was, like, for every raid, or every level of raid, every different difficulty or whatever, if there was some kind of personal challenge that you had to do. And I'm not saying it has to be super hard. There's nothing wrong with carrying people a little bit. Obviously there's going to be some weaker people, but it would be cool if they at least had some kind of minimum thing. So you go in, so let's say it's for this particular raid. You want to get attuned to a particular raid. So let's say you have to go on this solo scenario type thing, and during that solo scenario you're going to encounter a lot of the same mechanics that maybe you will, to a lesser extent, of course, but a lot of the stuff, like if you see like purple swirls and you have to move out of them, or so let's say, like, for how Garrosh has the purple swirl with the weapon inside, right? So maybe sometime during this solo scenario you would have like this purple swirl that would pop up. You'd have to get out of it, and then you'd have to like burn down that weapon or something inside. And during have a couple of little encounters within this solo scenario that would make the person use their abilities, and have a good amount of DPS if they're a DPS person. If you're, and you might want to have different types of scenarios for healers, for tanks, just like they do with the proving grounds, like they did with the legendary quests and all that. I love the legendary quest. I thought it was awesome because you didn't need to have a whole hardcore team behind. You could do it on your own time, and that way you can actually spend the time when you're all together doing the raid, right? So I really like the idea of being able to do things on your own. I mean, you can still make things that you can do as a team, like I was mentioning in my last one couple of my earliest episode, I think, this week. How I'd love to have like some really like mythic 5-man dungeons or whatever, where you have to grab a team and you get some like normal loot. You know what I mean? Like normal raid loot. Or maybe in this case, since normals are going to be called heroics now, we'll call them, let's say, heroic level loot from these things. But they'd be pretty tough because you'd have to get those 5 people together. But at the same time, it's not really going to be a super necessity, but it'll give people that option to do something different to level up. Anyways, I've talked about all this before. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. I think it would be really nice, and I think even for myself, just so that I know that I'm not holding back. And sometimes as a healer, it's kind of hard to say, hey, am I doing, yeah, maybe I got the numbers or whatever, but am I doing things at the right time? When I did the legendary and I had to heal Wrathion through his old man there, that was pretty tough, and it really made me force myself to learn to use everything I possibly could. It was pretty tough. I got through it, and I think it actually probably made me a better healer, because I just didn't run through LFR, get geared, and start raiding flexes and normals and stuff. I was this actually forced me, because I wanted that legendary cloak, right? It forced me to learn my class, all that stuff. And another great thing about attunements is that, see, right now a lot of these, let's say you want to queue up for LFR or any kind of dungeon or whatever, you need to have a specific item level. Well, the problem with that is talent, right? So you could have a way lower item level than that and probably still do better. If you're a very talented player, you can actually maybe out DPS or outplay someone who has maybe has a higher level than that required item level, right? So that's the great thing about an attunement, is if you have this solo attunement type thing and you have to go through this solo scenario or proving ground type thing, you could prove yourself ready for that raid or that dungeon or whatever it is. I think it'd be really, really cool, I think, for like every single dungeon or scenario, or as much as possible, and it'll force people to learn their tunes, to learn their characters. And I'm not saying to make it super, super hard so that only the best are going to get in. Otherwise, because that's not going to be good, because then some people are going to take too long and whatever. And like I said, you can always carry people to an extent, but you don't want to be going into you don't want to bring someone in just because their item level is over 520, but if they're only doing 50k DPS, then that's a problem, right? If those people had to go do this solo attunement, they would learn to do more DPS. They'd have no choice. They would learn their character, and it would give them an achievement, and they know that they deserve to be there. So I really think that's my opinion on that. I really think it would be really cool to have attunements. I really like them on a solo level, though. I don't like the idea of having attunements where you require a party or a raid group or whatever, because then if one person's missing something, then everybody has to go back and help you do it. And we had that with BC, and I'm sure you had it with vanilla, and it caused a lot of problems. It was just so hard to progress because of that. So, but if you could do it solo, you can do it on your own time. You don't have to wait for other people to help you, and that's really what it is. If it was a matter of, hey, let's go, people are always on, that's one thing. But sometimes, you know, you have your scheduled raid time, you can get on at times, and maybe other times it's like, when all the other times I'm available, there's nobody else on. But that's what was great about the legendary, right? The legendary cloak, because you can queue for LFRs, you can, you know, stuff like that, and you could do those things and get everything you need without the help of 5, 10, 25 other people. So yeah, that's I think would be a really, really good idea, and I think it would really help everybody, and I think it would really help LFR. I know they want to make it a tourist attraction now, but I think it wouldn't need to be. You wouldn't need to make LFR a tourist attraction if you had these attunements, individual attunements, to get through, and it would just make everybody better players. And even myself, I would love it. I would love to be able to go through these things so that I know that I'm going to contribute properly when I go in, and not just have other people carry me. So, or at least not completely. They might have carried me a little bit. You know, maybe my DPS isn't going to be as high, or my healing is not going to be as great as it could be, but at least I know that it's good enough to get through that attunement, you know. And, you know, so let's say on average, you know, it's just an example, right? So let's say on average, you know, to get through this particular, you know, dungeon or raid or whatever you're tuning for, it's going to require an average of, I'm just throwing a number out, 100,000 DPS on average per person to do it. So if you can go in this scenario and kick everything's ass doing, let's say 80, whatever, that's fine. Like, it's just a numbers I'm throwing out there. It's not set in stone. I'm not doing any math here. I'm just throwing just some examples out. But at least, you know, they're not doing 50. They're not doing half the DPS, or they're not doing half the healing, or if you're a healer, or if you're a tank, you know, you're taunting things. You're not letting everybody die because you're not taunting at the right time, or, you know, stuff like that. You know, or, you know, you could even do dungeons, some kind of dungeon scenario with other NPCs, like the Proving Grounds, you know, so that, you know, you have to protect if you're a tank, and all that kind of good stuff. So I think that would be really, really awesome. So that's what I think about that. Leave me a comment what you think about it. If you would like to email me, you can email me here at wowonmymind@gmail.com. It's probably somewhere on the YouTube channel to send me a message or something too. Best is to leave comments. That's the best way. Leave a comment down below in the YouTube comments. And please click on this little guy right here and hit the subscribe. Helps me out. Alright, please give it a thumbs up if you like this, and if you ever want to contact me in game, I'm on the Nazgrel server, which is connected to Nessingwary and Vecnalash. I am in the guild called Last Call, and my battle tag is PowerBoss Tim number 1518. I'm on my Druid Power Shift, or my Mage Intimate, which is Timothy spelled backwards. So please comment, like, subscribe, contact me, whatever. And as usual, have fun playing World of Warcraft. Have a good one.